Hey everybody, it's Missy.
It's April.
And this is SheelaNaGig. Hey everybody, how's it going? We're so excited that you're with us, as always.
Yes.
We're very happy that you're joining us here on the SheelaNaGig podcast. Each week, of course, we explore our own SheelaNaGig. I know you guys know the drill. It's a woman whose strength and perseverance has led her to greatness, who inspires us, empowers us. And it could be somebody that you've heard of.
Or have never heard of.
We're just telling these. What are we doing?
We're fighting the fight and shining
Oh,
the light.
you almost
I almost had it.
This is a big goal in 2026 that we're going to get our own slogan correct.
Right. We managed to botch it pretty much each time.
Almost every time. It's become a little bit of a running joke.
Yeah.
But you know.
We are fighting the fight and shining the light.
We are. How are you, April? What's going on?
I'm good. I'm well. Goodness, I just came back from a miniature convention in Sego.
I love that you had to go to the miniature convention.
I had to.
Have you guys seen the reels of April and her dollhouses? If you haven't, go back and look at those reels. She is a dollhouse miniature gal.
Fanatic.
And it's so freaking cool.
Obscure and embarrassing almost, except for the fact that I love it.
I think it's amazing. I think it's a cool little, it's like, like a cool little thing about April, I think.
So because I had to go to San Diego this weekend and go to the Dollhouse Convention, as I call it, I blew off tickets with my husband to go see Ricky Lee Jones.
My personal favorite artist ever.
So how was the show, Missy?
So guess who asked me to take April's ticket? Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Shout out to Stephen Grossinger.
Yay.
who I think finds me a little bit, what?
Well, probably panic inspiring when he asked you if you've ever been arrested.
He did. He asked me if I'd ever been arrested.
And tell him what you said.
I was like, well, of course, hasn't everybody? I mean, including April. and he's like, yeah, that's really funny, April. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, she didn't tell you? And then I just watched his face drop. And then I mean, it was so awesome. And I'm like, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. He goes, oh, God. I scared him a little bit. And everybody thinks April's like the most innocent person on earth.
Yes, they
do. Although I don't believe, unless she's holding out, that she's been arrested. She has a lot of little deep dark secrets. There's a lot of things about April.
I spent the weekend at a miniature show convention.
Deep dark secrets.
Really dark.
But
really dark.
I think people underestimate April though in a lot of ways sometimes. So.
That's okay.
So it was very funny, but we had a wonderful time, and Stephen finds me a little much, I think, sometimes. And
sometimes.
But I'm glad that we could just kind of hang out together, and we did have a great time. And he even said, let's send April a selfie.
He did. They sent the cutest selfie. I loved it.
Selfie. It was great. It was wonderful. But and anything else? Anything else going on?
That's about it for right now.
The miniatures.
Yeah.
Oh, I had a recital for my students.
Oh,
Can
yes,
I mention
you
that?
did.
I can tell
Please
April's
do.
ready to go. She's on the edge of her seat, and she's holding her notes up. I am done talking. I am ready to start my Sheela. Okay, but not before Missy tells you a little bit about her
No, do tell.
recital.
Yes.
So I have several voice students, but I have 3 in particular who were a part of my recital here in Los Angeles on Saturday. And I was so proud of all of them. They each did 3 songs. They did amazingly well. And a shout out to all my friends who came out and supported too, and neighbors who came out and just hung out and supported. We had food. We had my neighbor Irene, shout out to Irene, brought over tangerines from her tree. I made tangerine martinis for everybody. And we just had a wonderful time, and they were so, so impressive. All 3 of them were very impressive and very different. The oldest is my age, in her 50s. And then there's a mom who's in her early 40s who has 3 young kids. And then Jason, who is 18 and,
nice.
an up-and-comer. So it was really exciting. April couldn't come because you know where she was?
Because I was in San Diego.
At the Miniatures Conference.
Miniatures.
But I don't blame her. I mean, that's a pretty important thing. But, okay, April really is ready to go. She's just like giving me the look, and she's got her notes like right in front of her face. She's like, okay, ready. Are you ready, April?
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Let's do
it.
Okay.
April has a Sheela today. She's really excited to share her, and I'm really excited. So let's dig in, shall we?
So when I say beta decay, you say...
Beta decay? I don't get it.
Yeah, I didn't think you did. I didn't get it either.
You didn't?
Fact, no.
I don't have to feel stupid right now?
No, definitely not.
It's not a generational thing?
Nope, not a generational thing.
Okay, what is that?
Well, after reading a lot about beta decay, I still probably couldn't sum it up that well, but I'm going to try.
Okay.
Because today we're going to be talking about Chinese American scientist Chien-Shiung Wu, who unfortunately, and in accordance with our podcast, is not widely known, even though she has a lot of impressive nicknames that she earned throughout her very robust career. She's been called the First Lady of Physics, the Chinese Marie Curie,
wow,
Queen of Nuclear Physics, and Madame Wu.
Wow.
She's an experimentalist who became a leading expert in nothing smaller than nuclear physics during the 1940s and the 1950s.
Damn.
Yeah.
That girl is on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, she sounds amazing, and I don't know her name. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You're about to hear a lot about her. That's why I was raring to go. This is probably the longest Sheela I've ever
Well, when you get into it, You hit those rabbit holes. Pray do tell.
I will do my best. Chien-Shiung Wu was born on May 31st, 1912 in China, in a small town near Shanghai. She's the middle child. She was sandwiched between two brothers. And she was born in the same year as the founding of the Republic of China. And the politics and history of China during her lifetime will remain very relevant backdrop to her very interesting life.
Okay.
Her mother, Fun Ha Fan, was a teacher, and her father, Zhang Yi Wu, was considered an intellectual and an engineer. And Wu and her dad were very, very close. Both of her parents encouraged her to pursue education at a time when women were generally discouraged from doing so in China.
That's so cool. I love when I hear that.
Yeah.
Shout out to her parents. That's amazing.
Absolutely.
Well, I know they're not living anymore, but kudos. I'm going to say kudos to her parents.
Oh, absolutely. They really paved the way for her remarkable life. Right. Wu attended the Mingdi school that her father had founded, where she was described as a modest, inquisitive child from a well-to-do family. And Wu didn't play outside like other kids. She'd rather listen to the newly invented radio for entertainment and knowledge. She also enjoyed poetry, Chinese classics, and Western literature on democracy. She had a passion for politics. Wu would listen to her father recite paragraphs on scientific journals rather than listen to children's stories before she was old enough to read.
Wow. It's like a foreign language to me, I'm sure.
I'm sure. And yet she was almost fluent from a very, very young age.
That's amazing.
She left home in 1923 at the ripe old age of 11 so she could attend the women's normal school, which was 50 miles away from her family home. But this boarding school offered her a more enriched education and classes in teacher training as well as regular high school.
Wow, 11.
Yeah, she was introduced most notably to the subject of science, which would later become her absolute passion.
Love that.
Wu, at the time that she was at this school, had the option to attend teacher training, but it was a very competitive path. You had to take a lot of exams to continue on. If you were accepted into this program, there was no tuition or board expenses, and students were guaranteed a job upon graduation. And although her family could afford to pay, so she didn't really have to challenge herself this heavily, to go into the training program. She volunteered to do it, and she was ranked 9th among about 10,000 applicants.
Wow.
So she was what we call a sharp cookie.
Wow, indeed.
She graduated at the top of her class in 1929.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
The normal school, was it unisex?
It was a female. It was all women.
All women, okay.
And young women,
okay.
yeah. But she did graduate the top of her class and then attended National Central University. And initially she was going to major in mathematics, but later transferred to physics. She also became very active, as I was alluding to earlier, in student politics. And as relations between China and Japan were tense and students were urging the government to take stronger lines with Japan, Wu was elected by her peers to be one of their top spokespersons and leaders. And the reason why they wanted Wu in that very vocal, prominent position is because they felt that since she was one of the top students at the university, that the government would forgive her involvement in being an outspoken political activist.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so she led protests and organized sit-ins at the presidential palace in Nanjing, where the students were met by Chiang Kai-shek, and Wu was very careful to maintain her studies at this time to avoid any government backlash or being silenced.
Yeah.
Wu was inspired by female scientists like Madame Curie and Dr. Jing-Wei Gu, a physicist who had been mentoring her and later encouraged her to go to the United States to earn an advanced degree in 1936 after she graduated from the university, again with top honors in 1934.
Oh, good for her.
So initially, when Wu was coming to America, she was going to study at the University of Michigan.
Hey,
Yes.
my sister went there. Marg went there. Yeah.
But, however, she was shocked by the sexism at the time. This was 1934, when she learned that at Michigan, women weren't allowed to use the front entrance of the university.
Oh, are you freaking kidding me?
Nope. But as fate would have it, she decided she'd prefer to study at the more liberal Berkeley University in California.
For sure. Wait, I just want to talk about that for a second.
Yes.
Because there are some things that, oh my God, that is just completely degrading, that you couldn't use the front entrance. I mean, there are some things sometimes you hear about, well, women weren't allowed to do it because it was physically too difficult, or you hear about things which are stupid too.
Right.
But this is just like punitive and demoralizing and disgusting.
We have only just begun.
Oh my God. That's okay. Thank you for Berkeley.
After arriving in San Francisco and visiting the University of California, Berkeley, she happened to have met Luke Chia Li Ewan. And Ewan was a middle-class grandson from the concubine of none other than Yuan Shikai, the self-proclaimed president of the New Republic of China and emperor of China for 6 months before his death. And given his political lineage, Luke didn't really like to talk much about his grandfather.
Ooh.
And Wu apparently teased him after she discovered the truth, since her father had once rebelled strongly against Yuan
Oh, that's
Shikai.
hilarious.
Yeah. So,
Did they become a couple?
What's that?
Did they become a couple?
They did.
Oh, I
become a
love it. I
couple.
love it. I love it. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead.
No,
like you
that's
like to do.
okay. That's all right. Ewan showed her the radiation laboratory where the renowned physicist and director Ernest O. Lawrence would soon win the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1939. And Wu had the opportunity to work at Lawrence's radiation laboratory and had the chance to learn from physicists like Lawrence himself and none other than Robert Oppenheimer.
Ooh.
And other students who went on to become experimental physicists. As a graduate student, Wu gained the reputation for meticulous experimental skills. Although Lawrence was officially Wu's supervisor, she also worked closely with the famous Italian physicist Amerigo Sergre. She quickly became his favorite student, and the two conducted studies on nothing other than beta decay. Stick a pin in that.
Beta decay. How do you spell that, April?
It's beta, B-E-T-A, and then decay, D-E-C-A-Y. And her studies and work on this would provide important results in the future of nothing short of the creation of nuclear bombs.
Wow.
So Seagrave recognized Wu's brilliance and compared her to Wu's heroine, Marie Curie, whom Wu often quoted, but Seagrave said Wu was more worldly, elegant, and witty.
Wow. That's a good compliment.
Yes. Meanwhile, Lawrence described Wu as the most talented female experimental physicist he had ever known, and that she would make any laboratory shine.
Oh.
Wu completed
Support bro.
Total. She had a lot. I will say this. She, as much as she faced, as you will see, some real horrible sexism, she did earn and win the respect. I want to say win and earn the respect of many support bros. And these were heavy lifting men in the scientific world.
That's amazing. And it started with her own father and her brothers, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah. And her mother.
Well, her mother wasn't a support bro, though, either.
Right. That's true. You're right.
I'm only talking about the support bros.
The support bros.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. That's true. She did have a lot of men who did believe in her and appreciate and recognize her talent.
Yeah, and inspire her to become the person she became.
Definitely. Wu completed her PhD in June 1940, and she was elected to Phi Beta Kappa, the U.S. Academic Honor Society. But despite Lawrence's and Seagrave's recommendations, she couldn't secure a faculty position at a university.
Of course she couldn't.
So she remained at Radiation Laboratory as a postdoctoral fellow. Because of her early achievements, the Oakland Tribune released an issue on her that was entitled Outstanding Research in Nuclear Bombardments by, get this, a petite Chinese lady.
What?
The report went on to write, a petite Chinese girl worked side by side with some top U.S. scientists in the laboratory studying nuclear collisions. This girl is a new member of the Berkeley physics research team. Ms. Wu, or more appropriately, Dr. Wu, looks as though she might be an actress or an artist or a daughter of wealth in search of Occidental culture. She could be quiet and shy in front of strangers, but very confident and alert in front of physicists and graduate students.
Oh, wow.
China is always on her mind. She is so passionate and excited whenever China and democracy are referred to, as democracy meant so much in the 1940s. She is preparing to return and contribute to the rebuilding of China.
They couldn't give her a name, and they had to call her a girl and not a woman?
A girl.
Oh, that is so insulting.
I know.
Ugh.
But it is true that they captured her desire to return to China and help rebuild it, but her plans changed when the Second World War began. Wu and Ewan married at the home of Robert Millikan, Ewan's academic supervisor and the president of Caltech, and they married on May 30th, 1942. Neither the bride nor the groom's families were able to attend the wedding due to the outbreak of the Pacific War.
Yeah.
The couple moved to the East Coast, where Wu became an assistant professor at Smith College. This is a private women's college in the Northampton, Massachusetts, and Ewan began work on radar for RCA. So, sadly, Wu found her job at Smith College very frustrating.
Ugh.
Her duties only involved teaching with no opportunity for research.
Ugh.
She appealed to her scientific mentor, Lawrence, who wrote letters of recommendation to a number of universities. Smith responded by making Wu an associate professor and increasing her salary. Fortunately, she was able to accept a job at Princeton University in New Jersey as the first female faculty member in the history of the physics department, where she taught Navy officers. But she was still really underutilized.
That's impressive. I just want to say that's very impressive. But she was underutilized nonetheless.
Yep. Despite having these glowing recommendations from scientists that, were top names in the field at the time. In March 1944, Wu joined the Manhattan Project's Substitute Alloy Materials, or SAM, laboratories at Columbia University. The Manhattan Project was a research and development program during World War II to produce the first nuclear weapons. It was led by the United States in collaboration with the United Kingdom and Canada, and the Manhattan Project employed nearly 130,000 people at its peak.
Wow.
The cost at the time was nearly $2 billion, which is the equivalent of about $28 billion as of 2024. So again, Wu had been frustrated by her lack of professorships, and so she volunteered to help with the Manhattan Project. And in the beginning, she was assigned to assess the reactor's radiation effects by building her own instruments. Later, however, she was approached for a much larger role. The newly commissioned B reactor, the first practical nuclear reactor ever built, which was located in the Hanford site, had run into an unexpected problem, starting up and shutting down at regular intervals. John Archibald Wheeler and partner Enrico Fermi suspected that fission product Xe-135, with a half-life of 9.4 hours, was the problem. I'm sure you and I really understand and appreciate this. But just bear with me and hang in. Segrè then remembered the 1940 PhD thesis that Wu had done for him in Berkeley on radioactive isotopes of Xe, and turned Fermi to ask Miss Wu her opinion.
Wow.
The academic paper on the subject that they had developed, she and Dr. Enrico Fermi, was still unpublished. But after Fermi contacted Wu, Segrè visited her in Columbia University. She was staying at a dorm during the weekdays so she can actually participate on the project in New York. And then she'd go to her husband on the weekends. But she stayed during the week on the project, and they collected the typewritten draft prepared for the physical review. The suspicions that Fermi and Wheeler came to were true. Wu's paper unknowingly verified that Xe-135 was indeed the culprit of the B reactor.
Wow.
It turned out to have an unexpectedly large neuroabsorption cross-section. Sure. But Wu, and I'm sorry for my scientific ignorance.
Sure. Oh my gosh. No, I do. I feel I'm picking up what you're putting down, but this is not really my language. I am very in awe of any scientist, and but this is fascinating. She had already cracked the caper on this in her paper.
And was in front of the curve, as
of course she was.
Other more prominent or more known and recognized scientists were grappling with these subjects.
Wow.
So Wu was wary of her publication revealing information to other nations about the war's arms race. So she waited until November 1944 when she and Segrè submitted a complete study of these results, which was published months before the bombs were activated the following year. So she was very mindful of the fact that World War II was happening and didn't want to pass off any significant scientific information to hamper the development of the
Understood. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. Okay.
Wu also used her findings in radioactive uranium separation to build the standard model for producing enriched uranium to fuel the atomic bomb at Oak Ridge, Tennessee facility, as well as build innovative what's called Geiger counters. This is an electronic instrument used for detecting and measuring ionizing radiation. So I've just now spoken over my head, and I apologize for this, but there's still, even though I don't really quite
I think Geiger
understand.
counter is the only thing I'm familiar with.
Okay.
Of what you've talked about so far. But yeah.
Well,
but again, I'm getting the gist of it, and I know I'm ignorant, And I apologize, and I don't want to seem ignorant, but I am picking up what you're putting down. This is a fascinating story.
She's an amazing Sheela.
Wow.
Yeah. Like many physicists who were involved in the Manhattan Project in their later years, Wu later did distance herself from the Manhattan Project due to the destructive outcome and recommended to the Taiwanese president Chiang Kai-shek in 1962 to never build nuclear weapons. Years later, Wu, in a rare occasion, opened up about her involvement in the building of the bomb. Do you think that people are so stupid and self-destructive? She asked. No, I have confidence in humankind. I believe that one day we will all live together peacefully.
Oh.
Yeah, she did have a lot of conscious awareness of the impact. But that said, she was also very instrumental in the science of this innovation.
That had to be very tough. Mm-hmm. That had to be very, very tough.
Yeah.
Wow.
After the war ended in August 1945, Wu accepted an offer as an associate research professor at Columbia, so things were looking up a little bit for her.
Excellent.
She would remain at Columbia for the rest of her career. She was first named as associate professor in 1952, making her the first woman to become a tenured physics professor in university history.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Love that.
Yeah, and she...
Finally getting a little recognition.
Getting some recognition.
Mm-hmm.
In November 1949, Wu experimented with the conclusions of the Einstein-Podolsky-Rosen thought experiment known as quantum entanglement.
Mm.
Wu's experiment was the first important confirmation of quantum results for a pair of entangled photons. After the Second World War, communication with China was restored, and Wu received a letter from her family, who she had not been in contact with for a very prolonged time during the war.
Oh, that's so nice.
But her plans to visit China and her hopes to visit China were disrupted due to the Chinese Civil War and communist takeover led by Mao Zedong.
Oh.
Wu would not return to China until decades later to meet her surviving uncle and younger brother.
Oh.
And that really broke her heart.
I'll bet it did.
Though Wu did not support Mao, she also did not particularly respect the now deposed President Chiang Kai-shek and his wife Sung Mi-ling. Wu decided to lend more support to the Republic of China or Taiwan, as her teacher Hu had close ties to the old republic. Due to the war, many were displaced, and younger students would leave for the United States, while scholars in America could not return home.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, it really was.
Heartbreaking.
It was. She missed China deeply and would often go with Luke to buy fabric to make her own Chinese gowns, which she appeared always to wear under her lap coat as a way of remembering her country.
Oh, I love her. That is so awesome.
Yeah. She was also a bit busier after the birth of her son Vincent in 1947.
Oh, she became a mother.
She became a mother, and Vincent would grow up to become a physicist and attend Columbia, following in his mother's footsteps.
Wow.
By the end of the Civil War in China in 1949, Ewan joined the Brookhaven National Laboratory, and the family bought another home in Long Island. Ewan would regularly travel to Brookhaven in Long Island, and on weekends return to the family's Manhattan home near Columbia University, where Wu continued to work as its first female physics professor. So the couple really were very supportive of one another's careers, and they just divided their time as they worked wherever they got the best employment opportunities.
Divide and conquer.
And divide and conquer. After the communists came to power in China that year, Wu's father wrote her urging her not to return. With the help of Columbia's chairman, Charles H. Towns, Wu became a U.S. citizen in 1954.
Oh.
In her post-war research, Wu continued to investigate beta decay and quickly established herself as the leading physicist in the field. And that's why I began with, so what do you know about beta decay?
I didn't know anything, but now I'm just fascinated. I want to learn more.
Well, there is more to share.
Yes, yes.
At Columbia, Wu knew the Chinese-born theorist, physicist Cao Dao Li personally. In the mid-1950s, Li and another Chinese theoretical physicist, Chen Yang, began questioning a hypothetical law of elementary particle physics, the law of conservative parity. Theta and tau particles, two apparently different charged, strange subparticles called mesons, were so similar, seemed so similar that they would ordinarily be considered to be the same particle. But different decay models resulting in two different parity states suggested that they were different. So Li and Yang's research into existing experimental results convinced them that parity was conserved for electromagnetic interactions and for the strong interaction. For this reason, scientists had expected it to also hold for the weak interaction, but it had not been tested, and Li and Yang's theoretical studies showed that it might not hold for the weak interaction. I know I'm talking over my head, so I don't even know what I'm saying right now.
I'm getting it as we go. Keep going.
Okay.
Yep.
Li and Yang developed a pencil and paper design for an experiment to test conservation of parity in the laboratory. Because Wu was considered one of the best in her field, Li and Yang asked her to design an experiment that would prove their theory that parity conservation doesn't apply during beta decay, which beta decay is a form of radioactive decay.
Okay.
Li and Yang's theoretical calculations predicted that beta particles from cobalt-60 atoms would be emitted asymmetrically and that the hypothetical law of conservation of parity was invalid. Wu's experiment showed that this is indeed the case. Parity is not conserved under the weak nuclear interactions. So while this probably doesn't mean much to those of us who aren't physicists,
it sounds groundbreaking, though, right? It seems like it might have been kind of groundbreaking in terms of the scientific world.
Exactly.
When something is completely disproven that you believe to be true, those are big moments.
Exactly. Wu's results changed what is known about how the universe operates.
Wow.
It proved that a mirrored version of the universe would not behave the same as its mirror image.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's like pretty profound here.
And for what reason? I mean,
you are now above my head.
No, this is where I'm going tonight with my search. My rabbit hole.
At the
end of the evening, I always do the rabbit hole. What did I learn today? What do I need to look up? No, that is interesting.
How could the mirror image of the universe not replicate itself?
Yeah, exactly. Well, look, I'm thinking about twins right now. Right. Identical twins.
Yeah.
They don't really replicate themselves either, do they?
I guess they don't. They don't.
I'm speaking in layman's terms.
Yes, if we're sounding ignorant, it's because we are. This result was soon confirmed by Wu's colleagues at Columbia University in different experiments. And as soon as all of those results were published in two different research papers in the same issue of the same physics journal, the results were also confirmed at many other laboratories in many different experiments. So everybody became fascinated and wanted to kind of prove this finding.
Wow, that must have been, I'm sure it was very vindicating, because I'm sure they had plenty of folk who were saying, that's not true, this is how we've always identified it, and this is how it is. And I'm sure it had to be very vindicating that they proved this, and then all these other scientists wanted to replicate that and also prove it.
Right. The discovery of parity violation was a major contribution to particle physics and the development of the Standard Model. And this discovery actually set the stage for the development of the model, as it relied on the idea of particle and force symmetry and how particles can sometimes break that symmetry. The wide coverage of Wu's discovery prompted the discoverer of fission, Otto Frisch, to mention that those at Princeton would often say that Wu's experiment was the most impactful since the experiment that inspired Einstein's theory of relativity.
Wow, right up there with Einstein.
Right up there,
That's
right?
amazing. Yeah.
The AAUW called it the solution to the biggest riddle of science.
What? And we've never heard of her.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Researchers could distinguish between matter and antimatter and create a solution that explains the universe as filled with matter. This is because the lack of symmetry gave the possibility of matter-antimatter imbalance, which would allow matter to exist today through the Big Bang. So Li and Yang were awarded the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1957 for their theoretical work.
Bravo.
Yeah, and they received this honor despite a tradition within the Nobel Prize community, previous and future, of only awarding to experimentalists, not theorists, as Li and Yang
Oh,
were.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
What isn't so cool?
Oh,
You knew it
the
was
other
coming.
shoe's always got to drop, doesn't it?
Wu's critical contribution, providing the experimental confirmation proving parity violation through her rigorous experimentation, was omitted from the Nobel Committee.
Why? Because it was too experimental. And let me say, she was a girl.
Well, I think it was that she was a girl.
She was a girl. We don't even call her a woman. Oh.
I do want to say that Yang and Li tried to nominate Wu for a future Nobel Prize and thanked her in all of their speeches. Wu would receive a total of 20 Nobel nominations between 1958 and 1973. Although the Nobel Committee sealing of nominees' names for 50 years from the date of its award means there could actually be more nominations after 1973 for Wu.
Wow.
But she never was awarded
That is just
Nobel Prize.
so heartbreaking. That is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And so unfair.
Well, that's why we have this podcast.
That's why we have this podcast, damn it.
That's why I'm reporting on something I could barely understand or get my brain around, because I think it's more important. I mean, I'm just not scientifically equipped to really comment on what it was that she did.
Right.
But I can recognize that it was so groundbreaking that people were comparing its impact to Einstein's theory of relativity.
That's enormous. That is ginormous.
Yeah.
That is crazy insane.
Yeah.
And yet we do not know this Sheela. We've
Yeah.
not heard of her.
She's not a household name, that's for sure. In 1988, Nobel laureate Jack Steinberger frequently called it the Nobel Committee's biggest mistake.
Yeah, agreed.
And like, I do want to say there are a lot of support bros here, a lot of men who spoke up on her behalf. Wu's role in the discovery was not publicly honored until 1978, when she was awarded the inaugural Wolf Prize. Wu's friend Pauli, who was notable for being the creator of the Pauli exclusion principle, was certain parity was true and was shocked by Wu's discovery. He, like many other physicists, lost a large hypothetical bet against the eventual outcome. And he later wrote about his feelings on the discovery to Princeton colleague John M. Blatt, quoting, "I don't know whether anyone has written you yet about the sudden death of parity. Miss Wu has done an experiment with beta decay of oriented co-nuclei, which shows parity is not conserved with B decay. We are all rather shaken by the death of our well-beloved friend parity." He later became more confounded when he learned that Wu had been denied the Nobel Prize, and even believed that he had predicted the event through his dream analysis by none other than Dr. Carl Gustav Jung.
Of course. Oh my God.
Anyway, Wu did have her accomplishment, her recognition, I should say. She became a full professor at Columbia in 1958 and was later named first Mitchell I. Pupin Professor of Physics in 1973. Some of her students called her the Dragon Lady after the character of the name in the comic strip Terry and the Pirates, because Wu's strict and high standards of excellence. Even so, she actually sought out very close relationships with her students, eating lunch with them and getting to know their friends.
Aww.
She would do this while working from 8 a.m. to 7 or 8 in the evening, earning very low pay, which was drastically increased after Robert Serber was installed as the new chairman at Columbia.
Well, that's good.
Her discoveries proved important in physics, and her work even crossed into biology and medicine, where her contributions became extremely influential in the studies of the molecular changes in red blood cells that cause sickle cell anemia. Continuing her research, working with student assistants on beta decay, specifically double beta decay, if that means anything to you, she went inside a 2,000 feet deep salt mine below Lake Erie in Ohio to investigate on muonic atoms. The work she conducted there would pave the way for its future discoveries in 1980. So we're getting some insight into continued groundbreaking research, scientific research.
She never stopped. So passionate. So driven.
Driven, passionate.
Ugh.
Brilliant. Wu later wrote a textbook with Steve Mozowski entitled Beta Decay, which was published in 1966. It was the first comprehensive study on beta decay, and the book quickly became the standard reference on the subject. It remains one of the standard references into the 21st century.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this, again, I can't, while I personally can't quite appreciate the magnitude of the science, I get that this was seismic in the scientific world.
Absolutely. And a really important Sheela.
And her work is still relevant today.
It sounds like it. Wow.
Wu's older brother, unfortunately, died in 1958, and her father the following year, and her mother in 1962. The United States Department had imposed severe restrictions on travel to communist countries by its citizens, so Wu was not able to visit mainland China to attend her family's funeral.
Oh, that's really sad.
She did see her uncle Wu Zhuji and her brother Wu Chen-Yao on a trip to Hong Kong in 1965, and that's how long it took for her to be able to travel.
Wow.
To her homeland.
Yeah.
After the 1972 Nixon visit to China, relations between the U.S. and China improved, and then she began visiting China again in 1973. Wu nearly visited in 1956, but decided to stay in the U.S. to finish her famous experiment while her husband was in China. By the time she returned, her uncle and brother had died during the Cultural Revolutions, and the tombs of her parents had been destroyed.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, really sad.
Really sad.
During the late 20th century, Wu remained the world's leading experimental physicist, and many continued to seek her guidance in proving certain hypotheses. Later in life, she became more outspoken. She protested the imprisonment in Taiwan of the in-laws of physicist Kersen Huang in 1959 and of the journalist Li Chen in 1960. I mentioned earlier that she was very, very passionate about politics too, and really tried to be an activist and a spokesperson.
Yeah.
With the help of her teacher Hugh Shish, Huang in-laws were eventually released on bail. Li's sentence was reduced to 10 years by President Chiang Kai-shek, and in 1964, she spoke out against gender discrimination at a symposium at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
Nice.
I wonder, Hugh asked the audience, whether the tiny atoms and nuclei, or the mathematical symbols, or the DNA molecules have any preference for either masculine or feminine treatment. Unquote.
Well done.
Yes. This drew heavy applause in the audience.
As well it should have.
When men referred to her as Professor Un, her husband's surname, she immediately corrected them, telling them she was Professor Wu.
Love that.
In 1975, Physics Department Chairman Serber discovered that Wu earned much less than her male colleagues, but had never reported it.
Of course.
So he adjusted her pay to equal that of her male counterparts, even though Wu only cared about research at Columbia.
Wow.
So she wasn't in it for the money. She was really in it for the research and the scientific.
So passionate.
Her passions. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
In China, there are many, many women in physics. There is a misconception that American women scientists were all dowdy spinsters.
Oh, God.
And while that is offensive, Wu was one of those women who really challenged that stereotype. And I don't want to defend it by saying, well, she was lovely and beautiful and married. But she really did defy the caricatures and stereotypes of her time.
Mm-hmm.
Her advocacies focused on advancing the science. And later in 1975, as the first female president of the American Physical Society, Wu met with President Gerald Ford to formally request that he create an advisory scientific body which he would grant and signed into law the formation of the Office of Science and Technology Policy.
Wow.
Yeah. So she...
What a coup, man.
Yeah, you know, we often talk about our Sheelas as being multifaceted.
Yes, we do.
Multi-accomplished, having their hands in so many things. And Wu was definitely no exception to that.
And she was making big changes.
She was.
In the world.
She continued to be an advocate for human rights issues as she protested the crackdown in China that followed the Tiananmen Square massacre in 1989. In 1978, she was awarded the first Wolf Prize of Physics, as I mentioned earlier, and one of its criteria considered those who were thought deserving to win a Nobel Prize without receiving one.
Wow.
Wu retired in 1981 and became a professor emeritus at Columbia. She would spend most of her time in her later years visiting the People's Republic of China, Taiwan, and different American states. She became renowned for her steadfast advocacy of teaching STEM subjects to all students, regardless of gender or other discriminatory factors.
Good for her.
She suffered a stroke on February 16, 1997, in New York City. An ambulance rushed her to St. Luke Roosevelt Hospital Center, where she was pronounced dead. Her granddaughter, Jada Wu Hanji, remarked, "I was young when I saw my grandmother, but her modesty, rigorousness, and beauty were rooted in my mind. My grandmother had emphasized much enthusiasm for national scientific development and education, which I really admire."
Wow.
During her retirement, Columbia hosted a celebration to honor the First Lady of Physics, which drew a huge reception, and subsequently held a banquet at the Kwan Ji Fu restaurant on Broadway. The Polish-American award-winning professor Isidore Rabi called Wu one who had made the greatest contribution to science other than Madame Curie, despite her nickname as the Chinese Madame Curie. Maurice Goldhaber later quipped, "People avoid doing experiments in beta decay simply because they know that Wu Xinqiang will do a better job than anybody."
But of course. Oh. And so few probably understand it as well.
Exactly. In accordance with Wu's wishes, her ashes were buried in the courtyard of the Ming-Di school that her father had founded and that she had attended as a young girl.
That's lovely. That is lovely.
Wu died on February 16, 1997 in New York City, and today she is not only remembered as the First Lady of Physics or as the Queen of Nuclear Research, but as a scientist whose experimental brilliance permanently altered our understanding of the universe and whose stories continue to shape conversations about recognition, equity, and excellence in science.
Well done, April. Oh my gosh, what an amazing Sheela.
I was really reluctant because I don't understand the science and I feel so ignorant, and I'm sure some of my enunciations were poor.
No.
But she was just such an amazing, resilient,
groundbreaking pioneer
figure. And her
tenacious.
her recognitions and awards and accomplishments are too voluminous. I mean, we could spend another hour if I was going to list all the credits to her name. But I can't encourage you enough to look her up. And certainly the citations for this podcast will list a lot of that. So.
Yes, and I'm sure you have many. Did she sleep?
Did she sleep? If she did, she certainly didn't sleep long. She wasn't somebody who slept in.
I can't imagine. And what about her son? Is he's around today?
Yes, he is alive and practicing and followed in his mother's footsteps. And I know her husband passed after she did.
Okay.
But I believe they had a very progressive marriage for the time where they both really respected each other's professional work and really did what they needed to juggle family life and very high profile professions.
Wow. This was just wonderful. And we're opening this up for conversation, everybody. Please share your thoughts, share your comments. We always welcome them. And thank you for listening. Please subscribe, by the way. We would love it if you would subscribe, if you would like us, if you would comment. We would love that. We would really appreciate those. We're just definitely trying to grow in 2026.
I'm going to say,
what?
We're fighting the fight and shining the light.
Oh, we're fighting the fight and shining the light. We did it.
We did it.
We're going to keep on doing it right. But thank you, everybody. Until next time. I'll see you later.
Peace out.
SheelaNaGig.